Hey everybody, so today we're going to learn about how to take care of cacao trees. These practices are called your fito-santitary or phytosanitary practices, and this is what you do hands-on in the field so that you can avoid using herbicides and fungicides on your trees and also chemical fertilizers, and this is all hands-on technique. It is a little bit labor intensive, but it is no more labor intensive than walking around spraying chemicals, which I've seen people spend hours and hours and hours doing in hazmat spraying chemicals. So everything is work in the plantation. It really just depends on how you want to work. So the first thing we're going to do is we just have a little bit of undergrowth growing up here. There's nothing wrong with undergrowth in the plantation. The last thing you want is bare soil. Bare soil in the subtropics, it gets rained on really hard, it gets pounded into a slurry, and then all the nutrients just get washed out of it. So you don't want bare soil. What you need to be careful of is that vines will start using undergrowth as a support. And this little innocuous looking vine can latch itself up onto the cacao tree. It'll eventually get really big and strong and start spiraling itself around the cacao tree, and it will eventually start to pull it down to the ground. So these little innocuous looking vines, I mean, if they get a hold on the cacao, it takes a long time for them to cause significant damage, but it's good to come in every once in a while and just clean carefully around the base of your cacao tree. Be very careful not to slice with the blade of your machete into the ground or into the tree itself. The reason why that is because you'll make a nick either in a big root or in the trunk itself, and then water can enter into that nick and you can get fungal diseases or wood rot by making nicks with the machete. So don't do that, okay? Just very gently clean some of the undergrowth around the base of the tree so that vines can't get a hold. And also what you're doing here is sort of inadvertently fertilizing your tree, because all this nice green mulch is now going to go into a state of where it's going to be digested by the soil organisms, and it's basically food. So instead of using chemical fertilizer, simply by cleaning around the bases of your trees, you can do that. Let's see, what else is wrong with this tree? Not much. This is a very well-shaped tree. This tree has been pruned. We've done a good job on this tree. This is what we're looking for in a cacao tree, is the shape. So the shape of your tree is very important. What you're looking for are 4 to 5 main branches growing out from the base. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're in good shape here. Another thing that we're looking for with the shape of the tree is that the branches grow outwards in the shape of a star. So you can see here at the base, you've got a little bit of a space, which would be like the center of the star, and the branches are growing outwards. The reason why this is important is because it allows sunlight, to penetrate in to the base of the tree and to keep mosses and fungal growth under control simply by using the sunlight, okay? So that's very important. I know all the earthing and rewilding people love to like rub themselves in moss, but moss is lovely, but it's also a bed for parasitic growth, for fungal growth. So you don't have to pick all the moss off of every single tree, but the sunlight is the best way to keep those things under control. Cacao is a water-loving tree. It needs a lot of rain, but also excess humidity can be the enemy of your cacao tree because it encourages fungal growth. So it's all about this balance of keeping your cacao tree obviously in a very wet, moist environment, but also allowing sunlight, which is about 70% sunlight, to penetrate down into the base of the tree. And then what you're looking for above is enough foliage to create a dappled light effect of about 70% light and about 30% shade. This allows for the best fruit development. There's just a few other things wrong here with this tree. As you can see, we have an epiphyte growing. So what happens is, this is called Pahayito in sort of like the country slang, and birds will come and drop seeds, and the seeds get embedded into the actual like stems and wood of the cacao and they sprout. So this is not cacao. This is an epiphyte. This is an air plant growing on the cacao. And again, they're pretty innocuous when they start, but if you don't habitually prune them off, this will eventually get long enough, touch down to the ground, root into the ground, and start to pull the tree over. So it's important that you're always in your plantation, walking, seeing what's going on, and cutting off these different air plants as you go. They become very easy to identify. So you get like an eye for it when you're in here for a while, and I just spotted another one. Wait, and it just disappeared. Where did it go? Here's a little one here. Some of them you can pick off by hand, but if they're really embedded in there, you're going to want to prune them off. And other than that, this tree is looking, it's in good shape. This is a good looking tree. So let's move on to another tree, and here's another little epiphyte. So often it'll form a little node where the seed has embedded, and it's a good policy to cut below the node to make a good flush cut with the next branch with your pruners and just get rid of it altogether. Yeah? So here you can see the little node, and that's the invader coming in and embedding itself. So we just want to take the whole thing off and just leave it on the ground again as mulch and fertilizer. Okay, so let's move on to a tree that needs a little bit more work. Okay, so this tree needs more work, so we've got the big guys out, okay? So first of all, let's look at, based on what I told you in the last video, let's look at some of the things going on with this tree. Number of branches from the base. There's obviously too many, okay? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's awfully busy. There's a lot going on here. The other problem with this tree is that I don't think this tree was properly pruned from the beginning. We rescued this plantation. It wasn't very well taken care of before, so we have a lot of mispruned trees that we're salvaging. And obviously what happened here is that it doesn't have symmetry. So there's not enough branches coming to this side, and there's too much weight pulling to that side. I mean, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to these trees, guys. You don't have to make everyone like a perfect little twinkling star. However, for the health of the tree, it's important that it's not going to get pulled down to the ground, obviously, on that side. So we need to take off a little bit of weight coming off to this side. So I'm going to come over here, and I want to look at my branches. And obviously, you know, you want to take out the weakest and spineliest branches first. So this one here is obviously a culprit. It has no flowers on it. It's not looking like it's going to be producing any fruit anytime soon. It's already touching the ground, and it's just creating some weight that's pulling the tree off in that direction. So I'm going to take off that branch. Now, when you prune, you need to really pay attention to how you approach the branch you're going to cut. And if you're just learning, you know, you might have to position your pruners a couple times and be like, oh, how do I get in here? And it takes a little time to catch on. But you don't want to cut out here and leave a stick here. You're just leaving a place that's going to rot, where water's going to enter, where you can get wood rot. So you always want to put your pruners as close as possible flush to the main stem or trunk that you're cutting against, and really get them against it. And then when you use the big pruners, it's important to use your whole body. So don't just use your arms, because if you're like me and you're small, your arms probably aren't very strong. But you need to use your chest muscles and your legs and your shoulders and everything together. So it's really kind of like an all-body effort to make a nice clean cut with the branch, where you coordinate your legs and your chest and your back and your shoulders and your arms all into one movement, okay? So let's see what else is going on here. I'd like to take off another branch that is pulling the tree to this direction. So I need to make a choice. Which branch am I going to take out? Well, this one is crossing slightly to the inside of the tree. This is important. A lot of times you'll get branches that cross to the inside. And the reason why we want to take those out is because they create an awful lot of shade. They shade the center of the tree. So when you need to choose which branches to take, you need to decide, okay, I'm not going to take the ones that are branching nicely out in the star shape. I want to take the ones that are crossing to the inside. So the next one we're going to take out then would be this guy here. And again, I want to make sure I get a good position myself well. Get a good bite in there with the pruners. Get it really flush up against the main stem that I'm cutting against. And then again, it's an all body effort. Inner thighs, legs, chest muscles, everything at once. Yeah, there we go. And you get a nice clean cut, okay? And then one more main culprit I want to take out here. Guys, you'll notice here we also have an air plant. Pretty big parasitic epiphyte growth going on. I'm not going to cut this out separately because I'm actually making a decision to take out this entire branch that is also crossing to the inside. So we can see this is crossing to the inside. It's dropping shade down here into the center of the trunk. It's encouraging fungus and dampness here in the center. So again, we want to take this guy out. This is the last of the main branches I'm going to take. I wouldn't take more than 3 branches at a time from any cacao tree or any tree in general. It's kind of stressful for the tree. So, you know, make good decisions, get the most bang for your buck when you take out your branches, and then you also have to know when to walk away. This is a good one. This is good. You guys can watch me struggle for a second, which is important. So again, I want to make sure I get a good bite. There we go. It's all about getting the right angle. And then you can see by taking that down, it opens up the whole star of the tree, okay? And then this tree has some other minor problems. We've got some air plants growing up in the top branches, and I'll clip those out with the small ones. But I just wanted you guys to see, and then also the moss. It can inhibit fruit and flower formation, so you can pull some of that off. And yeah, other than that, now this tree is in great shape. You don't have to do too much of this because the sunlight, once it's coming in, will do it for you. And then one last thing I just want to point out about this tree is that because it needed to be pruned, we've got a weird fruit here. So I'm going to take this off. What's weird about this fruit? It's too smooth for a cacao fruit. This isn't normal. So this is telling me that there's something wrong inside this tree, perhaps a monesia or another fungus. So before it comes to the outside and is visible on the outside where it can spread, I want to take this off right away. And then when you find suspect fruits, the best thing to do is just put them underneath the foliage that you've pruned away and let the biome of the soil just take care of that, okay? So, star shape, branches going to the outside, very important. Make your choices very carefully. Don't just go hacking away at your tree. Make careful choices and make your nice open star shape, and that's the best place to start with your pruning. Thank you.